Hey friends, it is Thursday. Usually I say happy Thursday. I don't know, it's just something I say. But today is definitely not the happiest. I've said it before, I come on here every single day. Today is day, 74? Every single day I've been coming on here making videos that hopefully are informative, educative. Some have, helped you understand who I am. Today is kind of one of those videos where something sad that affects us all has happened in our community. So this is, less informational, I would say, and less about me and more about like us. But I'm sure many of you saw the announcement. It was shared widely. There was a CHCO post by Natalie Sturgeon about the closing of Lonicera Hall. This, of course, is a seniors independent living residence that it has been in our community since 1935. So that's 91 years of operating and serving aging residents in a really wonderful atmosphere. This is a place that served seniors, gave them a place of independent living. It was a place of employment. It was a place of tradition. Personally, I have really warm memories of my kids as they grew up here in St. Stephen, trick-or-treating in the neighborhood, and man, going to Lonicera Hall and seeing all the wonderful faces of the residents and staff there handing out candy to kids absolutely warmed everyone's hearts. It was a highlight of the trick-or-treating route for sure. And then, on a more personal note, my piano teacher, the neighborhood piano teacher, would have recitals and concerts there in Lonicera Hall, the students. So, of course, my son takes piano, and it was just wonderful to see the teacher and the students performing for the residents of Lonicera Hall. I think many of us have memories like that of this wonderful place in our community. I know it was one of the first places that I noticed when I visited here for the first time in 2018. I said, what is that beautiful building? And found out the incredible institution that it has been in St. Stephen. And so we are very grateful for it and very sad. I know everyone here is sharing the loss of what this incredible place has been to our community. Now, a lot of people do say, how did this happen? A lot of people are actually saying this is about government funding. When something like this happens, when there's a loss, the first questions we have are, how could this happen? And a lot of times when we aren't apprised of the situation of something, we kind of reach for the nearest explanation and say, well, I didn't hear about this, so it must be sudden. Today I wanted to emphasize how knowledge is power, and this, proves itself yet again here. The first thing that I did when I saw the news and saw the comments is to go to the Lonicera Hall website, because I know, and I'm not sure that you do, but that registered charities do need to post their financial statements publicly every single year after they are completed or audited by a certified accountant. And so I went to the website and did pull up the 2025 financial statements. And I don't want to belabor it. I did print it off here and have a look. And financial statements do tell a story. Now, there's always a story behind the story. And I know that the executive of this incredible place that has served so many so well and warmed our hearts did everything they can, I'm sure, in their power to continue to keep Lonicera Hall functioning. But even then, some people will look at financial statements and say, well, they had so much money, why would they be closing? And you're seeing kind of some of these questions. And I know, like, for example, the CHCO Natalie Sturgeon has promised to continue to follow up with this evolving story. This morning, Lonicera Hall put out a statement. So I just want to read part of it. The challenge, they said, is that the board determined that rising operational demands, staffing pressures, and financial realities made it no longer possible to continue operating in a sustainable way. The decision has not been made lightly. Now, of course, that is exactly what they're saying. That is what they're making public. And again, without, in any kind of press release like this, you don't get into the numbers, but the real story is in the numbers. So I just wanted to briefly walk you through, kind of in the same way, what I have been saying about municipal balance sheets and my municipal financial statements, the difference between a capital fund and an operating fund, right? Capital expenses, operating expenses, vice versa. When you look at, it's officially, the nonprofit is called Maria F. Canong Old Folks Home. We know it as Lonicera Hall. But when you look at the financial statement, you will see here a few really important numbers. The first one is residence, room, and board revenue. So that's money in was $530,000. But the expenses were $548,000 and change. So you are seeing an operational deficit there of $18,000. Now, there are other sources of income, excess of revenue over expenses. When you look at it, you see about $55,000. So you think, oh, well, that's good. Revenue over expenses, $55,000, that's a surplus. Well, remember, on sheets like this, and I'm not an accountant, but some of us read these things. There are people who could read this more easily than others, but I know some of us struggle with understanding these kinds of sheets at all, and so that's why I want to come on here. And the reason why I'm coming on here as a mayoral candidate is to say, when something affects us this deeply in the community, I do believe it is important for the mayor to provide a voice to speak on it. And I also believe that the mayor can behave in a certain way. And I'm not impugning the current mayor. I mean, it has nothing to do with that. It's more about the kind of mayor that you can expect me to be in this case, where, again, right away, instead of speculating, I looked at the financials. Another step that I would want to take is to reach out to the executive and ask how we could help as a municipality in any way. So that's the purpose of coming on here, but I just wanted to share with you the process of looking at financial statements as registered charities do post publicly. Anybody can access this. You see here how the operating fund, when all said and done, is actually $15,000 down, almost $16,000 down in cash. And again, the operations are everything, right? When you see numbers in capital in terms of assets, I mean, they do have 1.6, the last kind of page of financials here, $1.6 million in assets. So you think this is absolutely wonderful. They're doing absolutely fantastic. Well, of course, if $1.2 million of that is the building, and then other things are all the equipment, because again, all these things that you purchase, equipment, things like that, do count as assets. That looks great on paper, but what you really need to look at is the cash, because cash is operations. Now remember, we are talking about an organization here with about $548,000 of annual expenses. So every year, Lonicera Hall needed to come up with $550,000 just to operate. Now, when you look at their page here, what they had last year is $121,000 of cash on hand, and then you subtract from that their current liabilities or obligations. So this is accounts payable, this is money that is owed, this is payroll remittance payable, so payroll as of the closing date, and then deferred contributions that are also due. So really, when you subtract all that, which is 24 plus 465, 70,000 from 121, you're talking about $50,000 up in cash. And for an organization that needs $550,000 a year to operate, that, like, the burn rate is over $50,000 a month, right, for them just to operate. Salaries, when you look at here, salaries were about 60% of their full expenses. Salaries came in at around $350,000+ alone. So cash is really important for an organization like this. And this was not a government-run or government-subsidized home, right? This was all private. So a lot of their money was made by investments and endowments that cannot be touched. And so those would count for assets. But again, when you want those endowments that are sitting in the bank to be rendering interest, you of course can't take that out, because then you are cannibalizing your income from interest. And then of course you can't sell off the buildings, sell off the equipment that is important to sit there for the actual operation. So we do see here a picture where, unfortunately, and the executive would have known this and tried everything they could, I'm sure, to mitigate the losses. Of course, donations. You go to the webpage and you see donations are crucial. I'm on the board of a nonprofit. We know that, of course, a lot of the operational funding comes from the government for some nonprofits, if the government has allocated this. And then, of course, donations. These nonprofits and charities really depend on donations, and it looks like donations might have been responsible for some of the positive development, but operationally, it looks like Lonicera Hall just could not keep up with expenses unless they likely raised the rates on their residents. And of course, there's a threshold for that. So this is, again, a case, like I said, knowledge is power. And I just wanted you to know where you can look when you hear all the speculation. But of course, there is no substitute for, if you were to know the executive directly or reach out to them. The statement was very thorough, explained everything. But as mayor, I would reach out personally to the executive. Obviously, I'm not going to do that as a candidate. But as the mayor, I think it's important for us, again, the job description of mayor is to communicate on behalf of local governance. And for me, when we share some great win, if the Moose were to, the Charlotte County Moose were to win a championship, or St. Stephen High School, we've seen incredible results throughout the province, winning provincials and moving on, whether it's a new business starting. The mayor, in the best cases, in municipalities all over Canada and the world, I would say, the mayor communicates those wins and celebrates and champions the wonderful things that are happening in the community. But at the same time, when we see something like this, something that shocks us, saddens us, I would want to make a statement as the mayor, thanking this organization, and not just that, but reaching out to other levels of government, seeing what can be done, because now if they're closing in the summer, all of these residents need to be rehoused. And of course, we're talking about staff and workers that will need to be reemployed. And so we're going to feel that in this community. And the mayor should be, I believe, part of like I say, we celebrate our wins and we also grieve our losses together, but see if something can be done, because there's such a power when we bring our voices and our attention and our focus together. There's such a power to discovering what we can do together. That might not necessarily be keeping Lonicera Hall afloat, sadly, but there are real people inside that building that need our help. And if I've seen anything about St. Stephen and Charlotte County in general, it is when there is a need, we come together and we help and we make things happen for our common good. That's what I love about living here. And that's the way a mayor can catalyze really amazing things on behalf of council in our community. Okay, so again, that's what I would do. And today, again, I just wanted to walk you through exactly how you can get to the bottom of things when you feel like something's been a shock, or how can this happen. The first thing you can do is pull up financial statements, which are public and accessible to anyone. Again, it doesn't give you the inside story, but it does help explain some things. And I'll say it again, knowledge is power, especially when there's so much speculation and pain going around from something that's happening of this magnitude. All right, friends, I will get back on track tomorrow. This is obviously a developing situation. I hope good things can come from this, from people who are making the decisions and taking action, but I will see you tomorrow. Let's continue to take care of ourselves, yourself, your neighbor, as we build up St. Stephen together. Talk tomorrow.